the Cadillac is back on track. It's been too long. I'm glad to see it back. It's let loose. Welcome back to Hopper's Hot Rods. We're back on the Cadillac. It's been way too long. I finally got it unburied. Here's the plan. I don't have one, but let's make one. It won't take long. We'll walk around it, refamiliarize ourselves with it, and we'll assess the obstacles and make a checklist. So let's get started. Cue the music. Oh, it's nobody here. Okay, we've got her hovering nicely, just enough to where I can pull the wheels off if need be to access easily the motor mount area under here. And we went ahead and did a 2-degree down bubble on the level. My thinking is that if I level the engine, and this is already down 2 degrees, when it's at ride height, the level will be level and the engine will be 2 degrees aft sternward towards the back of the, anyway, I might have to redo this whole thing. Hello, 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 hello. It's all empty in there. Got the engine pulled back out of the Cadillac. Here's the engine, as it were, and the transmission that have been in there for mock-up. We've got our motor mounts figured out. There she is without an engine. Here's an engine without a Cadillac wrapped around it. This is the engine we're going to put in the 63. I did not film installing the pistons and crank and cam because it's diabolically boring. So the pistons are in. These are sealed power pistons. They're flat top. That'll improve the compression just a little bit. And this is the rear cover. Once you make sure you 100% sure have that thing in, it's I'm not even sure why they designed it the way they did, but there's a reason for it. We can get these holes lined up, make sure there's no pressure on the seal and it's fairly well aligned, and then we'll grab a bit of anti-seize, which is what this looks like, and we put a little dab on each of the bolts that hold the back cover on, because when you're threading things into aluminum, they have dissimilar metals and they can gall up and then snap off, and who knows how long this will be assembled. Judging from my past track record, estimated lifespan of an engine that I built is, I don't know, 4 years of light use. We'll see what happens. This is our cam going in. It's a 7,000 billion duration with a lobe separation angle of 1.21 gigawatts. I don't remember all the specs, but it should be a good cam. Fortunately, in this particular vehicle, the Cadillac, there's enough room to swap the cam out pretty much anytime you'd want to. Bolt on the end of this thing to get the last little bit in there. Probably a good idea. Haha. Take 22. Next step is I'll put a little dab of Loctite on the cam retainer bolt and put that in place. Then put the timing gear on, torque those down. We got a nice new oil pump on here, new timing set. And then we can put the front cover on and move on to lifters and heads. And just like that, there's our camshaft and there's our camshaft retaining plate. And the camshaft sprocket has a bearing on it. I thought this might be interesting to those who are interested in things that are interesting. And it goes dot to dot. There's a dot right here. And the way you do that is slip it in this chain thusly, and then adjust it around till the dot meets the other dot. Only takes a minute. So let's see if we can get that done and bolt that in. Yeah, I'm sure that's how it's done. I'm using the Elgin lifters, part number, whatever this is, for the LS and the Cadillac. And in case you did not know, there is an orientation for the lifter tray. It goes with these notch parts facing downward. Some people would want to put the oiling hole towards the back of the engine, but it really makes no difference. So, and I'll show you why if you'd like to know. You can see there's an oil galley underneath them. The entire area around the lifter gets pressurized with oil. And that's how it goes through the lifter hole, out that hole, and up through the push rod. So there's no need to orient them a certain way. You just want to make sure your lifter tray is not worn out. Make sure there's no rotational movement. And make sure if it'll hold the lifters like this, then it's not too worn out usually. It's best, of course, to just grab a new set of lifter trays when you're, even if you've got some miles on you, swap the cam, or of course on a new engine build. I just tapped in these alignment dowel pins. Please do not overlook this step, as it locates the gasket and the head on the deck here. These things are nicely labeled front and rear. They're from Brian Tooley Racing. They are a multiple layer gasket designed for the 5.7. They have they are able to withstand turbocharged applications, but that won't be affecting us. All right. Now then we hit bolts. There's some torque lubricant at the washer, and then we put a little anti-seize on the threads because it's going into an aluminum block. And so there's all kinds of chemistry going on just to put the head bolts in. Thread one in most of the way just to be on the safe side in case somehow or another we bump the head won't fall off. We've got good alignment. And it's a good idea to run these in by hand to make sure that the threads don't have any garbage in them, and if you can turn it by hand, you can feel absolutely if there's any unusual resistance. Okay. Take 22. I'm reading the comments in the comment section, which I never do, and some nosy noserton from, you know, the Nashville area. Says, what about the Cadillac? How much longer on the Cadillac? When's Hopper's Hot Rods going to finish the Cadillac? Well, finish is a subjective term. Well, actually, it's a definitive term, but okay, we have the engine attached to the world's crappiest engine stand. What a bunch of junk. So let's go over the parts inventory. I'll try to get everything kind of lined up and see what's left to purchase and what we're going to use to assemble the old Cadillac here. Here's the transmission that's going to be going behind that LS engine over here. Stock converter is going to be just a cruiser, and for whatever reason this thing was puking out a little fluid out of the overflow after it was rebuilt. So I'm going to take it to the guy, and we'll clean her up, make it look nice. And I can tell in the transmission tunnel, which is, you know, in there, it's the tunnel where the transmission goes. We're hitting here a little bit, I think, and maybe a little bit right here where this thing bulges out. So we might need to massage a little sheet metal, which will mean pulling the seat out and making sure we have good clearance for this. This one's already wired up for the electronic lockup converter. Well, here is the transmission filter, and it doesn't look too terrible. There's not a lot of stuff in it, and the pan also doesn't have any clutch material, it looks like, or parts, but this milky, yucky stuff might be just from condensation, because moisture mixes with any kinds of oils and looks yucky like that. So we'll clean this up, and I'm sure it'll be fine. We'll get it going. There's the Cadillac. That's a spare engine. Pay no attention. These are the parts we've gathered. Used rocker arms, but I did do the trunnion upgrade and clean those up. We got stock push rods. We got, you know, the things that hold the rocker arms, rocker arm bolts. So right here. A couple of clean valve covers. This is the oil pan, which I pointed out earlier. We got a, you know, Amazon Valley cover for cheap. Here's our motor mounts. I gotta find the other parts, the bolts and the little ears. This is an option. We can use these motor mounts. This is the intake I plan to use. Here's the engine, which we've been working on. The reason I plan to use this intake is because we have a handy Holley Sniper EFI and an MSD standalone ignition used out of other projects. So free. I don't remember what's in this. Just miscellaneous parts. Cross member and original motor mounts. Miscellaneous junk. Before we can assemble the bulk of this engine and put it in the bulk of that car, I need to address this issue here, because I don't want to track it all over the shop and into my palatial mansion later. So, you know, the van's up here. I've got to put a little oil dry down, see if I can figure out what this leak is. Then we can get back on. Pretty sure I've mentioned this stuff before from Schaefer's. It's Citral. It's a cleaner. And I give this a once over, and look at the difference. Man, Look at the difference. Bing bang. I mean, I do give it a quick brush, but this stuff cuts through dirt for things that are, you know, dirty, grease and things. Here we're going to knock the seal out of the front cover to put a new one in. And you don't have to hit it that hard. You can just grab a little screwdriver and a little hammer, but I got a big one. And we give it a bink, and that pops right out. Scrub, scrub, scrub. I'm going to try to get this nice and clean, especially where the seal goes in. You want to make sure there's no old oil or carbon buildup in that. So a little bit of brake clean, a little bit of degreaser, a little bit of elbow greaser, and we'll be able to put the seal in to a nice fresh looking front cover. New ones aren't that expensive, but we're keeping the price down on this build. You can get the new one with the seal built in, I don't know, $40 or something on the Jungle website, but I'm fine to just tap a new seal in and rock on with this thing. I'm just going to show this to you, and I can redo the audio with a talk over if I don't like the level. So when you're building one of these, this is called a windage tray, and it sits right here like so, and it catches the oil that comes off the crank and keeps oil from splashing up on the crank out of the pan a bit, and it's there for a reason, so just put it on there. And this is the oil pump pickup tube that goes with the aftermarket low profile oil pan. Put a dab of engine oil on the O-ring. I prefer Schaefer's because this is what I had handy. And the O-rings are different colors and different sizes, different thicknesses. So in order to make sure you have the right one, I have no idea how you make sure you have the right one. But if it's hard to squish in there, it's probably right. If it goes in really easily, then it's probably the wrong one. That one feels pretty good. So because this is aftermarket, you can run this thing without a windage tray, but I like to use it. There's a little bit of interference right here on this bracket. I can tell if I trim it here, a little bit. It looks like here a little bit more even. It should sit all the way down onto the windage tray. Then we can put the nuts on here, then test fit the pan, make sure we have proper clearance from this is the bottom of the pickup, and it will go against the bottom of the pan. I'll show you. And you want to make sure that that is the right distance, because if it's too close, it won't have the proper draw, and you won't have good oil pressure. And if it's too tall, well, if it sloshes around, you can suck air up into the pickup tube. But I think it's going to be okay. We could actually check the distance and see if we just want to put a spacer under that and tighten it down at the level it is. But I like the idea of trimming that bracket and making it fit properly. So we'll take some measurements and see what we need to do. here's our here's the contoured piece. So let's test fit it here. Looks pretty good. Then we'll measure our height here. We'll measure the height and we'll measure the depth of the pan. Now, before we get carried away torquing everything down, I've got these snug. I've got the bolt snug here on the pickup tube. Went ahead and leveled the block, and now I'm going to check the height here. And when this is level, I know that this is, you know, more or less vertical. So I can, that's more or less the height of the bottom of the pickup tube. Now we'll take that measurement again in the pan to see what our difference is here. Now here we can take the measurement that we took from over there. This is the length of the pickup tube. If we put it all the way to the bottom of the pan, we've got this roughly, yeah, this way. So if we take this to the bottom of the pan, that difference is, that's how far our pan is off the bottom of the thing. And it looks like at about an inch. I'm not sure what the standard is. We need to make sure there's always at least an inch of oil down here, because the pickup will be hovering an inch away from the bottom. That may be too much distance. Anyway, now we know that we have plenty of clearance. That's going to do it for this week's episode. Next episode, we'll be putting the engine in the Cadillac and making motor mounts and figuring out exhaust pipes and drive shaft lengths and all that stuff. It'll be a lot closer. I don't know if it'll run in the next episode, but we'll go over all the little things you might need to address. Power steering hoses, angle of the engine and transmission, tail shaft angle should be sympathetic to the pinion angle. I'm making stuff up. I don't know what I'm talking about. We'll see you next week. Thank you for watching.